Good morning, best friends. This is Kimya, your resilient strategist, and I'm here this morning to talk to you about child support and domestic violence. If you don't know who I am, you can go to kimyamotley.com and find out more about me. But before I start talking about any of this, I want to give you a trigger warning. Now, trigger warning means that I could say something to trigger an unpleasant memory in you about something that happened from the past. And if I do, you can feel free to inbox me and I'll talk to you about it, or you can speak with your counselor or a trusted friend about whatever you may be feeling, okay? So today I want to talk to you about child support and domestic violence. Now, I know a little bit about child support and I know a little bit about domestic violence because number one, and I won't go really into depth with this, but in 2011, my ex-husband shot me multiple times. He shot my daughter as well, and we lived through that experience by God's grace. So I dedicated my life to helping families never having to go through what we had to go through. Okay, so this is why I come to you most mornings with topics about domestic violence. So what I want to address this morning, as a lot of times people ask, why doesn't a woman just leave? If she's being abused, why doesn't she just leave? And the answer most times, like in the top 10, is for economic reasons. Women are unable to leave because they cannot take care of themselves outside of the relationship, or the husband or boyfriend won't support the children or what have you once she leaves. So a lot of times they feel like it's just better to stay in the relationship than to leave and have to suffer. I'm going to turn my phone off here just a second. Okay, so you don't hear that ding. All right, so that's probably in the top 10 of reasons why they don't leave. For example, there was a friend of mine who was a paraprofessional in a school, and she was being abused by her husband and she wanted to leave. Now, once we sat down and we started looking at the financial reports and, trying to find a budget that she could live with, it seemed that all she could afford is $250 a month for rent. Where are you going to live for $250 a month? So unfortunately, at that point in time, she made the very hard decision to just stay with her husband. So a lot of times that's it. So if you wanted to know, there's one of the reasons why. So that brings us to child support. Now, child support can be a very viable option for someone who wants to leave a domestic violence situation when you have children, of course. There are safety considerations. For example, sometimes women feel like if they leave, that's going to trigger a violent episode, and it could. So if you feel like that's you, before you leave, I want you to go to domesticshelters.org. I want you to put in your city and state, and it's going to pull up all the shelters in your area. Now, you may not want to go and actually stay in a shelter, but they have information there. Some of them have legal advocates, but despite all that, they can help you with safety planning and help you decide how to go about this child support thing. So I don't want to talk about child support any further without making sure you're safe first, okay? And also, this is a note. I found this out last night. I was like, oh, wow, this is amazing. Sometimes people can qualify for TANF benefits. That's temporary aid for needy families. But if you apply for TANF, there's a clause that you must cooperate with child support orders. You must cooperate with them to get child support from your ex-husband or from your boyfriend. But hear this, write this down. And I was like, oh, that is so awesome. There's something called a good cause exception, or in some states it's called a good faith waiver. If you are fearful of your life, if you do that, you can tell them and they'll put steps in place to keep you safe. Okay, so I wanted you to know that. Now, what about child support? Is this right for you? Is child support going after that? Is that a right option for you? So I'm going to talk about what happens here in Georgia, because this is where I live. But in Georgia, if you decide that you want to go for child support, they look at your income as well as the father's income. They don't just look at his, they look at both of yours to determine what your child support amount will be. Okay, and then the non-custodial parent is required to pay child support until the child is 18 or until they graduate from high school. I've had some people say, well, what if the child goes to college? All right, this is a very important question. If you go to court and there's a divorce decree that says they have to pay for them to go pay child support until they go to college, then that's enforceable. But your child support agency more than likely is not going to require that. They're only going to require it until they're 18 or till they graduate from college or age 20, whichever comes first. Okay, so now how do you apply for child support? So I've had people ask me that too. You can call the Georgia Child Support Office, and here's the number. It's 1-844-694-2347, and there's a $25 fee. Now, if you receive TANF or Medicaid, you don't have to pay that fee. It's absolutely free for you. But if you don't, then it's a $25 fee. They're first going to ask you to help them locate the parent. And then they might have you establish paternity. Now, I don't want you to get alarmed with this one, okay? Because this is a game that some abusers play. They know the children are theirs. You know that they're theirs. But in order to delay the process, they might say, hey, you know what? I want a paternity test. Just go ahead and do it. They're going to swab your mouth, swab your children's mouths, swab his mouth, and then tell him you are the father. And then they will go forward with the procedures to make sure that he has to pay the child support. All right. Also, here's another key. Put a bookmark here. If you go and have a protective order taken out, the judge can order child support through the protective order. So that's another way that you can receive help if you're going through domestic violence and you have children. Okay. So I really don't have time for much more. So if you have more child support questions, feel free to inbox me. You could go to KimyaMotley.com right now and sign up for my newsletter, and you'll get all kinds of information straight to your inbox about domestic violence, relationships, all that awesome, cool stuff. Or support if you're going through domestic violence. If you've already gotten out of it, but you don't quite know how to rebuild your life, inbox me and I'll make sure that you get that information. And most of all, you can purchase my book there. It's called Born of Violence, and I'll put the link up at the top so you can order it. Oh, Natalie says in Virginia and New York, there is no fee. See, I know it's different per state. So wherever you live, you just have to find out what it is. Here in Georgia, they make you pay a fee. Okay. Also, you can order my book at Amazon.com. And if you want to book me for one of your events, you can do that as well on KimyaMotley.com. I want you to have a blessed Monday. I want you to feel encouraged about your week. And listen, you can rebuild your life after abuse, really after any tragedy, one day at a time, and with God by your side. Have a blessed day. Talk to you later.